Hello, my friends. This is the 1 year reading for gold throughout the year of 2022. Um, it's interesting to point out here that this reading was done, there we go, July 17th, 2021 at 11:11 p.m. Interesting, at 11:11 p.m. Something significant already, but I just wanted to point that out. That's the creation. So double tap, bam. So I'm just going through the SO meta portion. Bear with me here. So the swiftness card is the theme for the overall theme and behavior for the year. And it correlates with the fortune card, which is in the low position for March, as well as the card that represents late May. All right, and then as well as the Ace of Cups down here. Huh. Okay. So I can see already that these two cards are connected to each other in some regard. There's a lot going on right here. A lot going on right here. But in either case, early August is going to see a fast sudden move higher in line with the swiftness card. And then as well as off of the low in March, we should see a similar thing. And then again in late May. And you can see, I mean, it's the Princess of Cups, which is an opportunity to buy in the midst of a decline. That would make sense just prior to a fast, sudden move higher. So that's pretty much for as far as correlations for the theme card. I'm going to do the trade card now, which I generally do any like prognostic type of stuff with represented in purple. Any SO portion of the reading. Yeah, so there's a big move. There's a trade opportunity there at the low. There's a couple lows. There's a couple lows in April. Great opportunity to open some positions in early April, maybe like the end of the first week. Another opportunity to take some sort of profits, or another trade opportunity towards the end, maybe the beginning of the fourth week of April. And the Knight of Discs, in many regards, it represents a actual support level. But it also, on something broad like this, it very well, in the trade position, has a lot to do with probably like the Fed chair or some sort of economic leader that is trying to create like a rally out of, for whatever reason. So we have another trade opportunity um, around the high of September, another trade opportunity in late October, and or around the low. These are all correlated to the Knight of Discs. Huh? Now we're going to do the cards that correlate to the year's high correlator. This is a much older spread because I did it so long ago, and I'm constantly updating and developing and getting better at doing this. And so our spreads have evolved since this reading was actually conducted. But it was done in such an auspicious moment, I decided that I would use it. It was one of the most auspicious moments of 2020, right on 11/11, which was not planned. The date was, not the time. That was coincidental. Well, if you believe in coincidences. All right, so I do the high correlators with green. See, now that makes sense, right? There's a trade opportunity correlated with a year's high opportunity. It's another one within close proximity to another trade opportunity. They probably are in cahoots, if you will. Another similar thing going on here where the low for October is likely to be within close time proximity to a year's high. Huh. All right, so that's all the correlations for the highs. So there's right now there's three correlations. Doesn't mean there aren't more. It just means that those are so far we found three significant highs in the year, and that would be the end of July, the beginning of September, and around the low. Somewhere in October. I'm thinking the end of October. That could change as we develop more of a story here. So we're going to do the low correlators, the year low correlators now, and those are correlations to the Prince of Discs. So February's high is close to a year's low for gold. It would make sense to have a year's low and the Ace of Discs congruent. That's a congruency, if you ask me. It's like another year's low in early May, and another year's low within close time proximity to a June high. Uh, a cash in opportunity or an opportunity to trade roll positions, that sort of stuff, in the end of uh, August at a low. So it looks like we have five correlations here. A year's low again in a significant trough for the year in February, early April, early May, June, and late August. Thus far, those are the main troughs for the year. All right, so it looks like we come out of a decline um, in early January. By the way, the date right now is January 24th, 2022. Doing this reading a little bit late. It's 9:24 p.m. I haven't really looked at a chart, but the rest of the year will is still valuable here. So in any case, we come out of a low. Yeah, there's decline. We come out of a low in early July or early January. There's something that people are relying on, possibly to do with the president, um, and that's whatever is being counted on. It falls through. There's like a surprise disappointment, and as a result, there's a failure from the high, and it continues. So there's like a little pop higher through a resistance, and then a sharp decline. So we have kind of like a peak through a resistance, and then a breakdown back through that same price level shortly thereafter, within close proximity to the January low, and we travel along support with a slight bullish uptrend in late January. Yeah, and there's like the behavior around the high for January is going to be like an M shape with the price. Like if you put a line right through the M, that line would be a price level, and then the price of gold would do like an M shape throughout the month of January, or within close proximity to the high for January. All right, so we have a low. Yeah, so we have a major low in February. Looks like early February, first week of February. Um, yeah, so we travel along support in late January, and then we decline further to a price level, a notable price level, which was represented here by the Two of Swords. We decline further, and then we hit a like a support level, significant support level, and we don't fall through that support level. Um, at least not in February, but there's a year's low there. And the high for February is when we move higher from effectively or successfully making a resistance level, a new support level for ourselves. But then in the end of the month, there's we bump up against the resistance level, and then we start declining with spikes that are highs, but they're lower highs on the way down, and they're bumping up against resistance, which is the moving averages, exponential moving averages. That's February. There's also something notable going on here. haven't put my finger on it yet. All right, well, we revisit a crest. It looks like there was a crest that formed near the low, or like near the middle of January, and it looks like we revisit that same crest, that price level for a crest in early March. There's some erratic behavior around the price level, kind of similar to what I described for the high right around January, but more erratic. Out of the high for March, we decline until we reach a support level, and then we bounce along the support level. But there is a big move. There's a significant reversal near another low in early, in late, on the cusp of, there's another low on the cusp of April, like into early April. Um, and out of that, there's a sharp decline into that year's low, second year's low, basically, and a trade opportunity in early April, probably the end of the first week. There's a notable move midweek, or excuse me, mid-month. There's a notable move and another trade opportunity towards the end of the month as we push higher when we meet a notable price level as a support level, um, which is signified by the science card. Looks like we probably have another year's high in February. I did an extra reading because I did this so long ago, I forgot that I did it. So I did another reading, and it's interesting. A lot of them, there's a lot of congruencies here, even with like the completion card on this reading done in July. It's in the exact same spot as the completion card is in the reading that I did in January, on January 7th or so. Things like that are important. We also have the Ace of Discs appearing right here around this cusp. So significant low there. And there's a high in there. It looks like we have a high somewhere in here in February or March in the midst of those lows. Another year's low, excuse me, another year's high in mid to late April, and then we decline into another year's low or significant trough in early-ish May. Now, out of the low in May, there's a big move to the upside, a fast sudden move higher correlated towards the end of the month as well. And then you have the star card out of the low, move higher, but then around the high, there's also a sideways S. So we may see this low again, or it could just be like a smaller sideward that's isolated to the high rather than the whole month. Hard to say. And we have a definitive trade opportunity. Yes, it looks like there's a lot of volatility. It's not just a fast, sudden move higher, but there's a lot of volatility here. There may be another low in early to late April. I'm just kind of like taking the ESO meta notes and blending them with what I did on the second reading because they're both true. So it just gives me more data. Like as a novice, I was just learning about this type of stuff, and I used to things like that would happen, and it would throw me off because I'd be like, oh well, which one's right? Which one's right? It's like this weird either or concept that a lot of us have ingrained in ourselves. But there's so much more than either or. It's not black and white, people. It's multi-dimensional, and they're both right. That's the possibility that exists that most people don't see. Than many people. I don't know about most. All right, so we have three spikes through a resistance level, followed by a sharp decline out of that third spike. In the early part of June, we come up against the completion of a trend, a major trend in the market. Looks to me like probably we have a high and a low towards the end of the month, and that's why the low there's a lot of volatility. We have a high and we have a high year's low correlator, a correlation with the month's high for June. So that says that the month's high for June and another year's major trough slash low are in close time proximity. I put them both in the end of the month, roughly. And we're going to sell down from a bit of like a rally. We'll sell down to and through slightly through a support level, but then rally back up above that support, and that'll kind of be like above that price level, and that'll kind of act as support again. Yeah, because we have a major decline. It's a major decline, guys. Continues into early July. Looks like we have more year's lows here. What did I do? I just got rid of something. Wow, look at that. We have the indolence card there. All right, so okay, so what I'm seeing here, guys, sorry, should be in green. Green. This relationship here, guys. The high is likely here. There's a year's high here and a month's high here towards the end of the month. That's where we bump up against the resistance. We decline to a low. Other years. So these price levels somewhere in here and towards the end of May, they're likely the same as this price level here. This is also on the other reading correlating to a year's high. Let's just get the rest of those in there. I'm gonna make this one neater. I'm just gonna finish off those reds as well. Ugh. That's all red. All right, we also have these correlating to year's lows. A lot going on. It looks like I missed one over there as well. I'm going to also put, there's some stuff going on here that's, I haven't put my finger on it yet. So I'm just going to mark it in thin black. There's a lot going on here. When I look at the other reading, there's something unusual as well. All right. So flight to safety from the July high, and it looks like we reach a support level that we then move sideways along. We fall from the high to the low. At the end of the month, there's a big push to a distant resistance level, possibly a new high towards the end of the month, moving into August even. Big move higher there, the end of July, early August. We have a J-shaped dip, notable J-shaped dip, or actually let's say U-shaped dip, notable U-shaped dip in early August. And that second part, like the move back higher, if you were making a U, drawing a U, that second up, that second peak, if you will, that's going to be a fast sudden move higher. It also marks a trade opportunity. There's a fast sudden move higher around the high within a period of volatility. The looks like a year's high there in August. We also have a year's low towards the end of the month. Some selling down to year's low from a peak. Looks like it's probably a new high. And then I'm going to do that again because this little prudence card, it appears there's something going on right here. I haven't put my finger on it yet. All right, and there's a cash in opportunity or great opportunity to roll some positions in late August. Then we have a notable move higher to reach another year's high in early September. I'm advised to be prudent around the high in September. Something's going on there. It's like blurred out. I can't put my finger on it, but there's another money making opportunity in late September. Multiple headwinds, opportunity to buy some puts or buy some protection on long positions as we exit September into early um, October. It looks like we have another year's low correlator there. There's some definitive bearish behavior going on. I actually see the the uh, the bear figuring in almost the exact same position in both readings. Very significant, very significant. Let's make that one red. All right. This is an intentional fake out. It's an intentional fake out. There's an intentional fake out in early October. And that's a really juicy trade opportunity. If played correctly, that's a really juicy trade opportunity. First end of the first week of October. The high that we see in October, we won't be revisiting within the time frame of the reading. It looks like that's the last high. Well, not the last high, but the highest price level. We should say the highest high. And there's a great opportunity to buy some short position or open some short positions, buy some puts, protect long positions within close proximity to the years or to it's a year's high. So October's high is a year's high. We don't revisit that again. And the low for October we see within close time proximity to that year's high. End of the month, there's a big push to the upside. We have some back and forth motions in early November, attempting to confirm a bullish trend, but there's a sharp decline out of the high in November to reach a notable trough, a notable low, or a notable bottom in November as well. And then there's a sharp decline from a high and also a move higher along a diagonal trend line to break through resistance, meet a second resistance, and then pull back slightly. Those behaviors both take place. The sharp decline through multiple support and the move higher along the diagonal. In the end of November, we attempt to establish support in early December, but end up selling off from another year's high in notably overbought territory. We reach another low, another great trade opportunity at a year's low. Looks like towards the beginning of December. And there's a big push out of a notable price, out of a notable low as we exit the year. Behavior for the following year, for 2023, the sneak preview, being the Queen of Swords, indicates a sharp dip within a period of volatility. And the highs, so there's likely a higher highs, at least one high higher than another, but likely higher highs taking place this year for gold, based on the victory card, which is a breakout card. And then notable bullish rotation increasing in bullish sentiment around the year's lows. I just noticed this. So I want to buy protection there. Okay, so it looks like I probably want to buy protection there and hold it. Yeah, buy protection that, some advised to buy protection around the high in February, late February, around the high in August, Augustish, July, Augustish. And I want that protection to expire past the end of September. Sharp decline here, guys. That's an indication of a sharp decline. There's a sharp decline going on somewhere in the last, like the end of November into December, possibly even the end of October uh, through November, and possibly even into early December. All right, guys, that's what I've got for you. I'd love to hear how people use this information at the end of the year, or even mid-year, wherever you do. Love to hear about it. Love to hear people making money from this stuff. Please let me know, guys. I love to see the comments, and I always get back to my followers for sure. Um, Let me know what you like, guys, and don't forget to spread the word. Pay it forward. Comes back threefold, my friends. I'll see you all later.